Welcome back to Chapter 3 of The Explainer. So today we are bringing our astrological stage to life. Look, last time we mapped out the 12 astrological houses, right? The rooms of your life. But a house full of empty rooms is, well, just a quiet, vacant building. The real magic happens when the actors finally step out onto the stage. And those actors, they are the Navagraha, the 9 planets of Vedic astrology. There are these incredible dynamic forces that actually bring all the drama, the life, and the purpose to those empty spaces.
Now, you might be wondering how much this actually affects your day-to-day life. Well, did you realize that every single week, you're invoking these celestial actors without even knowing it? Seriously, when you say Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, you are literally calling upon the sun, the moon, and Mars. Every single day of the week is dedicated to one of these specific planetary energies. We speak their names constantly, totally unaware of how these exact forces are secretly pulling the strings and controlling the narrative of our lives. So today, we're pulling back the curtain to uncover exactly who these hidden controllers are.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at science versus Vedic energy. Then we'll meet the core actors, followed by the physical 5 and the shadow twins. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with the secret formula to help you tie this whole thing together. Let's dive in.
Section 1, Science versus Vedic Energy. Before we meet our cast, we really have to address the scientific elephant in the room about what exactly qualifies as a planet. So modern astronomy tells us there are 8 planets in our solar system. You know the drill. Pluto got demoted, the sun is categorized as a star, and the moon is technically a satellite. Plus, 2 of the entities we're going to talk about today don't even physically exist in the sky. But Vedic astrology operates on a completely different wavelength. It recognizes 9 grahas. And this is the absolutely crucial point. In astrology, grahas aren't just giant physical rocks floating around in space. The word graha literally translates to grasp. They are these profound energy centers that grasp our consciousness, shape our karma, and directly influence our human experience here on Earth. Just imagine the houses are the rooms, the zodiac signs are the paint on the walls, and the grahas are the living, breathing guests sitting in the room. Let's start meeting these guests.
Moving right along to Section 2, the core actors. Let's turn the spotlight onto our first troop, the 2 vital luminaries that represent our absolute deepest inner selves.
First up, we have Surya, the sun. The sun is the absolute king of the astrological chart because it represents your very soul. Think of pure, radiant authority. It dictates your core confidence, your father, the government, and even your physical eyes. People with a strong sun, they walk into a room with their heads held high. They're just natural-born leaders. And yes, Sunday is definitely his day. Now, if the sun is weakly placed in a chart, it can show up as low self-esteem or maybe an ego imbalance. But the beauty of Vedic astrology is that it always offers solutions. A super simple traditional remedy for a weak sun is just offering water at sunrise to help build up that solar confidence.
And right next to the king, we have the queen, Chandra, the moon. If the sun is your soul, the moon is your mind. It's a perfect illustration of the duality of our core selves. The moon rules over all those fluctuating emotions, your mother and your inner peace. Think about how incredibly soothing a cool moonlit night feels. That's exactly what a strong, pure moon does for your mental state. It brings profound peace. Monday is the moon's day. If this actor gets a weak script or a tough placement in your chart, well, it tends to manifest as mood swings, mental stress, or even things like insomnia.
All right, Section 3, the physical 5. These are the actors responsible for building out your earthly character and dictating your tangible day-to-day experiences. First of the 5 is Mangal, or Mars. Mars is literally your fearless inner warrior. This planet governs your courage, your raw, unfiltered enthusiasm, and your physical energy. It also oversees your siblings, property, land, and quite literally the blood pumping through your veins. Tuesday is dedicated to Mars. When Mars is strong, you're an unstoppable fighter in life. But if it's poorly placed, that warrior energy can easily turn into anger, impulsiveness, and unnecessary fights. In fact, Mars is the single actor responsible for the famous Mangalic dosh when it's placed in specific houses, which can heavily impact marriage dynamics.
Next up is Bud, Mercury. This is the fast-talking, quick-thinking intellect of the zodiac. Mercury governs your brain, your intelligence, your speech, and all your communication skills. Look, if you are naturally great at business or math, you can thank Mercury. He is incredibly adaptable and just learns so incredibly fast. Wednesday is his day. But if Mercury is weak in your chart, you might find yourself struggling with nervousness, especially when it comes to public speaking or making kind of poor, hasty decisions.
Then we have Guru, also known as Brihaspati or Jupiter. Jupiter is the most massive and arguably the most auspicious planet in our entire solar system. He is the Dev Guru,
Literally the teacher of the gods. Jupiter brings deep wisdom, understanding, massive luck, fortune, and is the key significator of children. Thursday belongs to him. A strong Jupiter blesses you with this wonderful sage-like seriousness and just incredible luck. If Jupiter's weak, though, you might feel like you're constantly lacking a clear direction, hitting aimless obstacles without that stroke of fortune to help pull you through. Now let's talk about the aesthete of the cosmos, Shukra, or Venus. Venus is the absolute master of beauty, luxury, love, and romance. For men, it specifically represents the wife or spouse. Venus rules over all the finer things in life. We're talking your vehicles, your clothes, your sense of style, art, and music. Friday is Venus's day. A strong Venus makes you charming and incredibly magnetic. But a weak Venus? That can unfortunately lead to fractured relationships, a general lack of harmony, and sometimes wasting wealth on completely frivolous things.
And finally, to round out the physical five, we arrive at the most feared, yet arguably the most fair actor of them all, Shani or Saturn. Saturn is the strict disciplinarian. He represents delay, struggle, absolute discipline, and karma. Saturn is his day. The thing to know about Saturn is that he delays things, sure, but he doesn't deny them. Wherever he sits in your chart, that is exactly where you have to put in the hard work. Saturn is famous for the Sade Sati, this really crucial 7.5-year period in a person's life where Saturn transits over their natal moon. That's the time when you are forced to sit down and face the actual results of your actions.
And there is a perfectly fitting phrase to remember here. Saturn is the karma phala data, the giver of the fruits of your karma. Look, people are terrified of Saturn, but they really shouldn't be. He is not a punisher. He is simply an entirely impartial judge. He just returns to you exactly what you put out into the world. You reap what you sow, plain and simple. He teaches hard lessons for sure, but those lessons are explicitly meant to evolve your soul.
Okay, section 4, the shadow twins. Let's dramatically darken our cosmic stage a bit for this final troop. These are the illusory, completely non-physical karmic disruptors. You've got to notice the fascinating contrast between these two. Rahu and Ketu are not physical rocks out in space. They are literally just mathematical points where the orbits of the sun and moon intersect. But man, their energetic impact is massive. Rahu is the head of the dragon. He represents unfulfilled desires, extreme material ambition, foreign travel, technology, and illusion. Wherever Rahu sits, you develop this obsessive hunger for things. Ketu, on the flip side, is the tail. He represents detachment, liberation or moksha, past life knowledge, and spiritual intuition. While Rahu makes you obsessed with the material world, Ketu steps in and strips away worldly attachments to force you into spiritual enlightenment. And honestly, that push and pull can often cause some deep spiritual confusion.
Here is a super fascinating fact that will really help you remember these two. Did you know that during solar and lunar eclipses, it is actually Rahu and Ketu at work? Energetically speaking, eclipses happen when these shadow planets temporarily swallow or disrupt the core luminaries, the sun and the moon. And that is exactly why, in Vedic traditions, you're supposed to halt any auspicious work during an eclipse. It is a time of immense, entirely unpredictable shadow energy.
Section 5, the secret formula. We've met the entire cast now, so let's synthesize all of this so you literally never forget it. Here is the secret formula to understanding how these 9 actors operate together. It all breaks down into 3 really simple steps. Step 1, the luminaries, the sun and moon. They form your core foundation, your soul and your mind. Step 2, the physical 5, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. These guys are the character builders that shape your earthly traits and direct your daily actions. Step 3, the shadow twins, Rahu and Ketu. They are the karmic disruptors that throw wild cards into your life, constantly pulling you between extreme material desire and extreme spiritual detachment. And please remember this one absolutely crucial takeaway. No planet is entirely good or entirely bad. I mean, Saturn brings struggle, but it creates necessary discipline. Rahu brings illusion, but it also fuels incredible creativity. Their true impact depends entirely on where they are placed on your stage and ultimately your own personal karma. Well, that brings us to the end of today's explainer, but I definitely want to leave you with a question to chew on. If you've had your chart read, which planet is the strongest for you? And hey, whether you know your chart or not, which shadow planet do you find more mysterious, Rahu or Ketu? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You've officially met the cast, which means you are halfway to mastering this cosmic play. Next time, in Chapter 4, we'll uncover Dishti, which is how all these actors actually combine their energies to create major life events. Stay focused, and I will see you in the next explainer.